With our interactable script ready to go, we can actually start adding our first interactable. So what that's going to be is a treasure chest. That treasure chest is going to hold some gold that we can give to the player, and they can open and close the chest, and the gold will disappear, and all this cool stuff. So to start, what we need to do is go into our hierarchy pane, and we're going to create an empty object. So it's just going to be a transform, and we're going to call that treasure chest. Next, what we want to do is head into our Techability folder from the Assets panel, and we're going to go into the Treasure folder, and we're going to drag the Treasure Closed prefab and the Treasure Open prefab both onto this empty object, directly onto it. And what that's going to do, you'll see one is grayed out and one is not. If you click on this, this little checkbox up here, you should see, oh look, it's way up over here. So you'll see it's not where we want it exactly, but you'll see that we have this open chest with the gold inside it. So what we can do is in the X and Y position coordinates up here in our transform component, we can just type 0 and 0. And same thing for our treasure object here. This one's just a little bit to the left, so we're going to also give that a value of 0. So we want both of them to be at 0, 0, 0 in their transform components. And that's going to put them directly on our empty game object that we made. And then we want to make sure that we switch that open one back to not being enabled. We don't want to be able to see it because we want to turn that on when the player opens the chest. So we'll get to that in just a second. What we want to do first is in our treasure chest, we want to add a component. We're going to add a box collider component. And this is going to be that trigger that we talked about in the interaction script step. So we're going to check is trigger. We're going to make that true. We're going to move our center up to, we'll say 1, we'll do 0.5. 0.5 should line it up nicely, yep. And then we're going to give it a size of 2 and 2. And we'll make it all 2. So yeah, we'll bump Y up to 1. And then we'll actually also move it a little bit in front of it by giving it a center of -1 in the X direction because we want the player to be standing in front of the treasure chest when they interact with it. And of course, like I said, make sure that is trigger bool is checked. Next, we're actually going to add our interactable script, so we can add component and type interactable, and it'll pop up here, and we can click that. Or you can grab it out of your resources folder and drag it in like we have before. The next thing we need to do is in our resources folder, we need to right-click, click Create C# script, the same way we've done it for the other scripts. And we're going to name this one Treasure. And hit Enter. And then we want to drag that treasure script onto our treasure chest object here. And then go ahead and open that script up. And what we're going to do in here is add the code to both open the treasure chest as well as give the player their gold. So we're going to add a couple variables. We're going to say public game object closed chest. We're going to say public game object open chest. And public game object gold. We also want to say public integer my gold equals 100. And this is a value that you can change in the inspector, but in our code here, we want it to be set to 100. And then we also want to say bool has gold equals true because we have gold by default. And we say bool is open equals false because our treasure chest starts out closed. Next, we're going to give ourselves a little bit more space, and now we're going to write the function that will allow our player to open the chest and take the gold. So we're going to say public void use chest, open and close parentheses, and then our open and close brackets. And we're going to say if is open, and add our brackets there. So that's going to say if our chest is open and they use the chest. If they use the chest while it's open and it has gold, we want to give the player their gold, right? So we're going to say gold.setActive is false. So that's going to set our gold game object to false, make it disappear. And now we're going to make use of that player inventory instance that we brought up before. So you'll type player inventory.instance, and that's going to give us access to our player. And then we're going to say add gold and then parentheses my gold. So we're going to give them gold equivalent to the value of gold that we assign. And then we're going to say has gold equals false. So now if the chest is open and they use it, they won't be able to add any more gold because has gold is false. So now outside of our has gold statement, we're going to say else. So if we don't have gold, we just want to close the chest. So all we have to do to do that is say open chest dot set active false, and that's going to make our open chest model turn invisible. And we're going to say closed chest dot set active to true, and that's going to make our closed chest model then appear. So it'll look like the player just turned or just closed the chest, when really we're swapping it out with a different chest model entirely. And then we're also going to set is open equal to false, so that we are no longer acting as though the chest is open. Then we want to step outside of our if is open statement and say else open chest dot set active to true. So now we're opening our treasure chest, so we want to set the open model to true. We want to say closed chest dot set active to false, because we don't want them to be able to see the closed version of the chest anymore. And now we're setting that is open variable to true. So that's going to allow us to switch back inside and allow the player to either take the gold or close the chest again. Let's head back over to the Unity editor and we can test this one out together. So I'm going to grab my treasure chest here and I'm going to drag it over to my dock. I'm going to drop it down. There, that looks good. And then I'm going to grab my player pirate and I'm going to grab him, move him over towards my dock here. There we go. That's a little too low right there, should be good. And we're going to go ahead and hit play. And I'm going to walk up to this and hit E. And nothing is happening. And that's because we haven't actually assigned any of our values in the inspector. So we want to go ahead and do that now. So if we click on our treasure chest, the first thing we need to do is assign our closed, open, and gold chest values, because we haven't got a chance to do that yet. So we're going to drag treasure closed into the closed chest, treasure open into the open chest, and gold or coins into the gold value there. And then what we want to do is in this interactable script here, this on interact field, you'll hit the plus button. And then we can click at the very top when you put your mouse over this slightly darker section here. It'll actually highlight it. You want to click that and drag it into this none object field. And that's going to say treasure chest treasure there. Then we click this drop down that says no function, treasure, and then we find that use chest method that we wrote earlier, and we put that there. So now when you trigger that on interact event by pressing E, it'll do the use chest code that we wrote in our chest script. So now we can hit play and go on our dock and walk over, press E, and boom, we open the chest, press E, and we take the gold, and then we press E again and close the chest. And you can even see if we press E and open it, there's still no gold. So that gold is permanently gone, just the way we intended.